Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday to you. Hopefully, you are having a good day. This is 9 a.m., and you know what that means? It is time for 100 Days of Purpose. For those of you that might be watching for the very first time, 100 Days of Purpose is where Coach Linda, who I am, talks about purpose, strictly purpose. I come to you from every angle of purpose, and I debunk some myths about purpose too. So, we are going to have a wonderful time. We're going to have a wonderful session. Hopefully, you have your pen and paper ready. If you want to leave comments on the live video, let me know that you are here. Go ahead to streamyard.com/Facebook. That way you can leave comments and I can respond to your comments live. Otherwise, I'll try to respond to them after the fact. But I do want you to be interactive. I want you to get involved. I want you to actively listen and apply what is being said, because this is going to change the trajectory. I think the word doesn't want to come out of my mouth. It's still way too early. This is going to change the trajectory of your life, okay? And so if you're ready, got pen, paper, you ready? Okay. Today we're going to talk about change, not chain, but change, okay? I know I changed the words for Aretha, and she'll kick me when she sees me again, but that's okay. We're going to talk about change. Who likes change? Especially when we're okay with what's going on. We're okay with the status quo, or we feel that what's happening right now is just wonderful. We don't want change, but change is something that will occur. When you were born, at least for me, I was born 6 ounces and, some 6 pounds and some ounces, and now I'm way over that, right? I was maybe 21 inches long or something like that. My mom would have to correct me, but now I'm a little bit longer than 21 inches, right? So we change, we grow, we call them growing pains, and we move from one state to another state. We move from one city to another city. We move from one job to another job. We move from one relationship to another relationship. All of these are changes in our lives. We get promoted. So there's a lot of changes in our lives. And so we have got to embrace it. And what I think that we find the hardest is the unknown. So hopefully I can give you, today I'm going to talk about 3 kinds of change, okay? And I really want you to take into consideration what kind of change is happening in your life. And this is not to say that one is better than the other. It's just to say that these types of changes occur, and it's our perception of the change that is what matters the most, okay? So when someone asks me for a 1-sentence description of what I do, and I get that all the time, what do you do? And we always talk about having that elevator speech, right? So when they ask me for one sentence description of what I do, I generally say I assist women mainly and some men to embrace their true purpose by teaching them how to transform their mindset from victim to victor. Okay. Another way of saying it, I help the broken become whole. Okay. But I know broken and wholeness and stuff like that, that's kind of a spiritual term. And even though I am a senior pastor, I try to make it practical and applicable for everyone that I'm talking to. Okay. So that's the sentence that I come out that I give the general public. And that is why my coaching, and that's why I coach the way I do, and the methods that I choose to use in my coaching are the methods that I choose to use. They help you see, understand, and influence patterns of decision making and how to interact with those that you come in contact with. The thing about purpose is you're always making the decision that best suited for your purpose, the decision that's best suited for the people that you're assigned to, that you're called to, the people that you will come in contact with, that your life will have an impact on their life. And hopefully that impact is a great and a needed impact. And it's not something that's going to discourage or hinder or block them from becoming who they are. I say it all the time. I need you to be the very best you so I can be the very best me. I'm not trying to take over your life. I'm not trying to tell you who to be and how to be. I just want you to be the very best version of yourself so I can be the very best version of myself, because we need one another. We are helpers one to another, right? If you're in my circle of influence and I'm in your circle of influence, we should be impacting one another positively. So, it's important that we understand that. And I know I'm talking about change, but I'm setting a foundation because we've got to understand what it is that we are guarding when we change. Okay? And the reason why I want to help you understand and influence the patterns of decision making and the interactions that you have with people is so that you can take informed action. In another way of putting it, intentional action, strategic action. You can live your life on purpose. So some of the coaching methods I use help you to see and interrupt or interpret the patterns of your life. It's important when we're talking about change that we understand that there are patterns in our lives, and those patterns are what really govern the pathway that we're on. And many times we don't realize the significance of these patterns. Case in point, we choose to be in relationships with familiar people, right? The only example that's coming to my mind right now is a woman that keeps choosing abusive men, right? That's a pattern. So how do you break that? How do you change that? How do you choose men that are going to treat you the way that you should be treated, treat you like the queen that you are? And vice versa for men. Men tend to choose women that, may not treat them in the best light or look at them in the best light. And they accept these things because that they know. That's all they know. So they don't understand these patterns, but they ask, why do I keep meeting these type of men? Why do I keep meeting these type of women? Why do I keep getting these kinds of jobs? Why do I keep having these kind of people come into my life? Why am I attracting these things? Now, the law of attraction says that a like attracts like, right? Not opposites attract, but like attracts like. And so there's something on the inside of you that is attracting these people to you, and you've got to be willing to make the change so that you can attract the type of people you want to have in your life. So these methods that I use help you understand the impact or potential of the impact of your actions, your words, and your presence. Your actions, your words, and your presence. The reason why you have got to put your energy into the good and positive and make the necessary changes is because every action, every word, every time you show up, there is an impact on someone's life. There is an impact on your life. And so these methods help you make informed decisions about the actions you take. It helps you choose the right words to say. And it allows you to show up, to shine bright, not to cast a shadow on someone else, not to put someone else down, not to take somebody else's place, but to stand in your own rightful place. And so there must be a change in the mindset, a change in the attitude. So today we're going to talk about change. You must understand the kind or types of changes that may occur in your life that will face you on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, that will at some point in your life cause you to have to change your direction, to go a different route, to select things that you might not have considered before. So change, change, change. The first type of change is called static change. Static change is this. It's linear, if you will. One moment it was this and now it's that, right? So one moment it was a red and now it's green. That's change. That's static change. There is nothing that nothing that you really have to do. There is outside things happening, right? There we go through things and stuff in life happens, like say the pandemic. That happened to us. One minute we were out living our lives, not wearing masks, not worried about shaking hands and all of that. The next minute it was different. Everything shut down. That's static change. If you want to think of static change, I don't really follow soccer, but let's go with this. Look at static change as a soccer ball. It's the ball. Okay? The ball within itself does not make a decision to change. It is an object that is guided, right? It is an object that is used to attain a goal. So static change that ball. It does nothing for the change to occur, but the change occurs. And it's happening to the soccer ball. Okay? The second, make sure I did everything I wanted to say on that. Static change, let me put it this way too. Static change is one-dimensional, right? There's no complexity to it. It's before and after. When I use my why am I stuck, that is talking about static change, because you're looking at one moment I'm stuck, the next moment I want to be unstuck. One moment I'm frozen, the next moment I want to unfreeze. So it's static. It's something needs to occur. The object is there to make the change, but there needs to be some outside motivation. There needs to be something from outside, not from inside, but something from outside that occurs to help the change along. That's static change. Then we go to the next level of change, or the next type of change, and that is what we call dynamic change. So the first kind is static, one-dimensional, before and after, stuck, unstuck, frozen, unfrozen, right? Then we go to dynamic change. And dynamic change is signified by the soccer kicker, right? So the static change is the ball. It goes where it goes, right? One moment it's here, the next moment it's there. And there's nothing that the ball did, right? Now we find out what that outside force is. The outside force is the soccer ball kicker. Now, from what I could understand about the soccer ball kicker, the professionals, they know how to look at the distance, the wind. They take all these things into consideration to know how to kick the ball, or where to kick the ball, to get the ball to go where they want it to go. That's why it's a dynamic change, because there's a little bit more complexity to it than the static change. It's not a before and after. It's a calculated risk. Okay? They determine certain things by what's available for them to monitor, what's available for them to see. Their knowledge, their skill comes into play. Um, and they can almost predict what should happen by, okay, the wind is blowing southwest, southeast, or whatever, and it's blowing about 3 knots or whatever, however you do wind. I'm not there, I can't tell you. It's blowing this way and it do this, that, and there's this one over here and this one over there. And if I kick the ball just a little bit like this, it's going to go into the goalie, right? It's going to hit the goal. It's predictable. It's something that you can imagine. It's the what if I kind of thing. It's measurable. You can look at it from one point. You can look from start to finish, and you can kind of map out what's going to occur. It's a little bit controllable, right? Because the soccer ball or the soccer kicker has knowledge that can control the situation. And that knowledge used correctly will bring about favorable results. There's a predetermined goal. It's not while they're doing it and they're kicking the ball around, they're thinking about what they're going to do. No, they've already predetermined, I'm going to make the goal. I'm going to get into the end zone or whatever. I don't know what they call it in soccer. I know in football is the end zone. So I'm going to get to where it can be where I can score, And so they have this plan to make the change, to get the ball from point A to point B. That's dynamic change. Dynamic change creates a plan for moving from point A to point B and then monitor and assess each step of the way. Okay? So you can make small adjustments as you go, but you always stay with the overall predetermined plan. You don't deviate. And this seems to be where most of us try to stay, even if our predetermined plan isn't in our best interest. We've made a plan. You know the saying, that's my story, I'm sticking to it. We've made a plan, and we're sticking to it. Come what may. It may not be the best plan. People get married, they see some warning signs. They see some things that they don't really want to accept in their life, but I love them. I want to be with them. They make me feel good, or they supply some need, right? And so I'm willing to overlook the red flags that are waving at me saying, go away, it ain't gonna change. I'm willing to overlook those things so I can be with this person that I feel suits my needs. So predetermined plans can be plans that are good or bad. But as you go through it, you've got to make the adjustments. And sometimes, which we'll talk about later on the 100 Days of Purpose, sometimes you have to deviate from the plan because the plan is no good. And you've got to know when the plan is no good. So this way of thinking, when you're thinking about dynamic change, this way of thinking is closer to the reality of change than the idea of static change. Static change does occur. The before and after does occur. We know with the pandemic. But most change in our lives are dynamic changes because we have to make decisions. We have to set a plan, whether the plan is successful or not. We have a predetermined plan. This is how I'm going to get the promotion. This is how I'm going to get her to love me and date me and marry me. This is how I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to start the business. This is how I'm going to get the better job. We have some type of predetermined goal. So this is the more of the reality of change. And dynamic change can become complicated if you try to predict or control the many variables you encounter in human systems that are neither predictable nor controllable. For a long time, however, it was the best way we had to think about change. So we were taught as little kids, make a plan and stick to it. Take the necessary steps. Go to school, get a good education, get a job, pay your bills, get good credit, buy a home. That was constantly pushed into us. So now I want to introduce you to the third type of change. I want you to close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to think about a room where there are 36-year-olds in this room, right? And some wonderful person throws in 20 soccer balls. Now you've got a room full of kids, right? 6-year-olds, and now you got 20 soccer balls. Not every kid gets a soccer ball, right? Can you predict what will happen in that room? Do you have some type of idea of the actions that are going to occur in that room? Maybe even chaos that's going to happen in that room? Can you predict what the room is going to look like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, an hour later? The truth of the matter is you really don't know. You can have some idea, but you don't know. And this is what we call uncertainty, because we have some idea what could possibly happen, but we don't know if it's really going to happen, right? We don't know if A is going to become B and B is going to become C, and it then goes the way we thought it would go. We don't know that. There's some uncertainty. But then as you're watching this room of kids, you start to see, one will grab the ball and plan it, and the other one's like, I want that ball, da 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 da. And there's some fighting going on, and there's some things. But then all of a sudden, we being humans, without somebody saying, hey, look, this is what we're going to do, you start to see like-minded children, male or female, you start to see them gravitate towards one another, and they begin to form little teams, or they begin to play little games with one another, right? So you may have some over here playing dodgeball, some over here playing soccer, some over here just kicking the ball around to one another, some over here throwing the ball. So now you got these little pocket groups of people that had similar mindsets now are gravitating to one another. We as humans do that. We do it, it's the herd mentality, if you will. We find people that make us feel comfortable, that are doing something similar to what we are doing, and we hang out with those people. Why? Because I can understand that person, because, they're a coach, I'm a coach. They're a financial coach, I'm a financial coach. They're a secretary, I'm a secretary. They're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. We have some common understanding of one another. Whether I like them or not, I'm going to hang out with them because we have something that links us together. So at first it's pretty chaotic, right? There's chaos because everybody's trying to grab a ball, and now you start to see these little groups form. Some of you might have predicted that these groups would form, but most of us, we just thought, you got 30 kids, 20 balls, somebody's going to get hurt, right? Somebody is going to get hit or kicked or something, because they're going to be trying to take the ball from them. But what we see is human nature kicks in, and now these people with like minds are gravitating towards one another. And that is called a pattern. So think about your life. What patterns are developing in your life, whether it be professional, personal, spiritual, your relationships, romantic and platonic? whatever, just look for the patterns. You got to look for the patterns, because the patterns are going to tell you the success level. The patterns are going to tell you what's occurring in your life. And if you see that you are hanging out with people that you really don't like, people that really don't understand you or don't value you, then a change is necessary. It must occur. So the third change, the first change is static change, right? Before and after. Then there's the dynamic change, where you have a predictable plan, a predetermined plan, a predetermined goal, and now you're working towards that goal, and you set up a plan to get you from point A to point B. You make small adjustments along the way to make sure you stay on that plan. That's dynamic. The last one is called dynamical. It's a dynamical change. Why? Because it more embraces our human nature, what's comfortable to us. It's more of the same. So even though we are making a dynamic change in our lives, we have this predetermined goal and we're now working towards it and we're adjusting our lives accordingly, we are still apt, I guess, because I can't think of another word, to gravitate to people that are like us. You know, race comes into play. You know, you see Asians sticking with Asians, whites sticking with whites, blacks sticking with blacks, Hispanics sticking with Hispanics, right? And then it goes to, you know, in the Hispanic realm, you know, the Mexicans are hanging out with the Mexicans, and the Guatemalans, I guess you call them. I don't know if I said it wrong. Don't hate me, okay? They're hanging out with themselves, you know. Then you have those that are from Spain hanging out with Spain, and you know, so you have these gravitations that happen even in the smaller groups. You start to see even smaller groups join together and become like-minded. And so those things there, that's the dramatical change. That's the you know, I'm making a change, but trying to stay comfortable. I'm doing what's necessary to get my goal and attain my goal, but I'm hanging out with people that I think understand me. The good thing about that is birds of a feather flock together. The bad thing is, are those birds the one that's going to get you to your ultimate goal? And if you're not willing to step outside of your circle, step outside of your comfort, step outside of the things you know, and step into the known realm, that uncertain realm, take a chance, take a risk, then maybe what's really happening in your life is you're getting more of the same. That's why some people can say, well, I did what was necessary to change, but I'm still getting the same results. Einstein, it's attributed to Einstein. We don't know if he said it or not, but Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Many of us, that's what we define as a dramatical change. We do the same things that we're comfortable with. We gravitate towards what we know because we don't want to step into the unknown. So change, change, change. Here's your homework. What seems impossible to you right now? In other words, what needs to change in your life? And are you going to have a static change, a dynamic change, or a dynamical change? Again, I said at the beginning, I'm not saying one is better than the other. because we need the static change, we need the dramatic change, and we need the dynamical change. We need them all in our lives. Sometimes we can I gravitate towards entrepreneurs, and that's a good thing because we have these like minds. We're creative people. We're trying to build a business, and I need that, right? And they may introduce me to something that they know that I don't know. I need that group of people. But then I also need to not just hang out with the new entrepreneurs that are struggling to get their business off the ground, but I need to gravitate to these people that are having 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 figure businesses. Why? Because I need to know what they're doing so I can get there too. And that's going to challenge me, and that's something unknown, and that's something different. I can't even sit at the table yet, right? But I need to be able to be around those type of people so I know what that means. I know how that feels. I know how they think differently than the struggling entrepreneur who's just making thousands of dollars or 5 digits. You understand what I'm saying? Change is necessary, and it must challenge you. And you've got to be willing to embrace that. You got to be willing to embrace it. So comment below. Tell me what changes you need to make in your life. What seems impossible to you right now? And let's make it possible. Let's do what we need to do to make it possible. There's something I'm going to be talking about later on in 100 Days of Purpose. It's called adaptive action. We're going to talk, it goes in with change. You now know the 3 types of change. And I'm sure if you Google, you'll find there's other people that have other types of change. But these were the ones that resonated with me. I didn't come up with this. I did study. I looked at it and I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. Because looking at my life, there's static change, there's a before and after, there's the dynamic change where I made a plan and I'm making adjustments along the way. And then there's the dynamical change where I made a determined goal and I made a plan and I'm making adjustments along the way, but I'm still gravitating to the things I know. I understand the value of each perspective of change. I do. They're necessary, they're needed, and it must happen. But guess what? At the end of the day, change is change. You got to make the change. And knowing that each is more useful than the other in some situations, you got to know that sometimes static change is better. Sometimes dynamic change is better. Sometimes dynamical change is the best way to go. You've got to know. But I'm going to open your mind. And I know I'm going a little bit longer than I normally want to, but I want you to get this. Understand that knowing when to apply the different types of change in your life is what's going to garner your success. It's what's going to make it feasible, possible. And I really do hope you find this useful because I'm crushing like maybe 20 chapters of a book into 35 minutes. So I hope you find this information useful. If you have any questions, make sure that you ask and I will have an answer. I promise you. I got an answer for you. Okay? So I hope you find this useful and that you consider the kinds of change in your life that it helps you to find support in your time of need. Because change is coming. It's coming, it's here, and it passed. Past, present, and future. Change is going to happen. And you got to know how to make a decision that's going to allow you to live your best life. Why? Because I need you to live your best life. I need you to be the best version of you that you can be so I can be the best version of me. And together we can change the world. together, we can deal with change and we can make it better. Sound good? I know it sounds good to me. Anyway, I am Coach Linda. I am so happy you stopped by. Make sure that if you're watching in the replay, you type in hashtag replay so I know that you're watching in the replay. Let me know if you are watching live. Remember, if you want to leave comments, you can go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and that way I can see your comments as it's going. Otherwise, I try to go back and look at comments after the fact, so on YouTube and on Facebook. And if you want to work with me, if you are needing some direction in your, you need to find your life's purpose, you can go to destinedtobeyou.com. The address is scrolling across the screen. I hope that you will take me up on the free consultation that I give to you, because I want to know how I can customize my services for you. Okay. And there are programs that are ready-made programs that you can go through that you will see results. But again, I want to see how I can help you. I want you to live a life of purpose. I want you to take a step. What does that mean? I want you to be strategic, intentional, and on purpose with everything that you do. I am Coach Linda, Miss Purpose, and I'm outie.